Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of First Look, Final Word, a podcast where we take you along to see a movie with us. I'm Pete.
I'm Trevor. What's going on, you rage-infected not zombies?
Is that what we're going with? Not zombies?
Not zombies. How's it going? Today we're going to go see 28
You
years later.
already messed it up. I'm going to mess
say
it up
20
so many
years
times.
later.
28 years
28 years later. All right, 28 years since the rage virus escaped a biological weapons laboratory. Now, still in a ruthlessly enforced quarantine, some have found ways to exist amidst the infected. That's a run-on sentence there.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's fine.
All right, yeah. So today we're seeing Danny Boyle's latest flick, 28 years later.
Yeah, the third of the 28 somethings laters series.
Yeah, and on our last podcast, I said I would have watched 28 weeks later, but that did not happen.
Oh, did you not get around to it?
Well, because you called an audible and said, hey, I'm going away for the weekend. Can you make the Thursday show?
Yeah, I'm just really excited to see this.
No, I still have that middle gap.
Well, I am fully able to bring you up to speed, Trevor, because not only did I not watch it this week, but I did just watch a 15-minute recap both for the first two movies.
Okay, well, there you go. So you're all primed. Okay.
Yeah, I jumped on YouTube and I did everything you need to know before going to see 28 years later.
Okay.
And I had forgotten a lot of the stuff in that second movie.
Maybe we should be making those kind of videos. Those are the...
Well, we have to watch the movies first, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. So do you think that, I'll have to have watched
No.
28 weeks later to...
No, I don't think you'll need to watch it at all.
Well, why don't you give us a recap then?
Okay, I'll do a recap. I'll try and do a recap of the recap I just watched.
Okay,
or you guys can just skip ahead a minute and go YouTube it yourself.
I do know the first movie very well myself.
Yeah, okay. Well, we don't need to get into the first movie. So basically, the end of the first movie, depending on which ending you like the best, we'll go with the one that's canon, I suppose.
Whoa, okay. So I didn't realize there were multiple endings.
You've not seen the alternate ending for the first movie?
Okay, I'll tell you the ending that I know.
Yeah, I think it was basically a DVD extra back in the day. To be honest.
They're all just hanging out. At the end, they've escaped
from a farm, right?
Yeah, they've escaped
the countryside.
They've escaped the military, and then some planes fly over. There's hope in their eyes, and you see the non-zombies starving and
yes,
at the side of the road.
So positive ending, right?
Yeah.
It
kind of means that they've outlasted the horrible.
The non-zombie rage-infected people are gonna die out, and it's just England by itself that was infected, and they're going to be saved by the friendly Europeans/Americans. So that wasn't the original ending of the movie.
Okay.
The original ending of the movie is that Cillian Murphy dies, and then the movie ends. It's a horribly grim.
Danny, what do you think about that
one? They get into an operating theater, and they're doing the whole movie trope of we got to bring him back because he's been shot, right? And they're like, he's going to be okay, he's going to be okay. And then no, he's not okay, he dies. And then the girl who's with just looks horribly depressed and walks away. And then credits. So it's no hope. The main character you love is dead. That's it. And I think it was I think the studio were Danny, please change this ending. Which he's probably glad he did now that he's got a franchise out of it.
Yeah. Well, you know who watched that alternate ending and loved it? The showrunners of The Walking Dead, because that's how every single season of that show felt.
Yeah, well, and that was based off the book though, which was just as grim, to be honest with you. It got way too grim, that book/show. I didn't even ever finish the show. I finished the books actually, which were not as grim in the end. But
my wife and I gave up on the show.
What, at the same time everyone gave up on it?
It seems like we gave up when Glenn died.
Yeah, everybody.
That's almost everyone I talked to.
That was the tipping point, right? And that was the tipping point because even my in-laws, back when everyone watched The Walking Dead and it was everyone's favorite show, they're as soon as that happened, we stopped watching it.
Well, there are a few times where I'm well, if Herschel ever dies, I'm done. Because I had my guys on that show.
Yes.
And then just obviously everyone loved Glenn. Stephen Young is a great actor and brought a lot of life to that character. But then also just the way that they killed him was just so unnecessary.
And that's the hard thing with shows like that though, because you don't want to give the beloved characters too much plot armor because then it takes away from.
Yeah.
The good thing about that show, it's good thing about the early seasons of Game of Thrones was anybody could die and you're oh shit. But that was a great example of maybe being too faithful to the source material, because that's exactly how Glenn dies in the book.
But also in that episode, they tease out who actually died for the entire episode to get people to
Yes,
like.
that's very true. That's very true.
And
Yeah,
they had already done like he miraculously survived by
they
going
did.
under a
Yeah, I don't know why
dumpster.
they
So
bothered doing that. It was so weird.
like
Anyway,
it's not that I minded that he died. Like they just went way too over the top with it. And
anyway, let's not talk about Walking Dead anymore.
sorry.
I've still not recapped this. We're gonna be there, and we're still gonna
Okay,
be talking about Glenn.
sorry. Go on.
Okay, so cut to 28 weeks later. So in 28 weeks later, it starts again with like an opening scene showing somebody dealing with the infection, and it's Robert Carlyle and his wife holed up in some farm with some other people.
Robert Carlyle, okay.
Yeah,
But like Boyle did not direct the second one, right?
I don't know. I don't think he did, but
I don't think he
I
did. But
think he
yeah,
was.
it's
I
interesting
think
that
he was. I
Carlyle
think he was
is
involved though.
yeah.
So anyway, it starts off with him and his wife, and then obviously this farm where they're at gets overrun with rage virus people, and it's actually really grim because there's a child that shows up, and that's what brings all the infected there. And then his wife is like, "We have to save the child," and she runs to save the child. And Robert Carlyle's like in the door. He's like, "No, we gotta go." And she's like, "We gotta save the kid." And they're all infected and start coming in the room, and he's just like, "See ya!" And he just like gets out of there. Just leaves his wife behind, and then as he's escaping, he turns around and she's like banging on the window, going, "Come back and save me, Robert
Oh,
Carlyle."
like so there was time to save her,
And
basically.
he's like, "No, you're good." And then as she's banging on the window, like an infected just grabs her and pulls her out at the thing, and he's like, "All right, see," and he jumps on a little boat and gets away. And then it cuts to 28 weeks later,
Oh man, that's
which is really grim opening,
That's-
right? And
that's
this is our hero now,
that's
right?
well, that's pretty funny. Like that relationship probably wasn't doing very well.
I know, right? But it gets even worse than
Anyways.
that. It gets worse, right? So it's 28 weeks later, and then you find out that it was just contained to the UK. They've quarantined the UK. Now all the infected sort of basically died off from starvation after like 11 weeks.
And I actually buy that it could be contained in the UK because
Right.
the
So you just
infection
close the borders, right?
the infection starts so quickly. Like
Yeah.
it would be hard for them to like to slip
I
past. Like
know, but I mean, like, anyway. So, yeah, you're really hitting on things that happen in this movie. So I'm glad we
okay,
were.
sorry. Okay, go
So,
on.
we don't want to get too deep into it, but anyway, his kids were in Spain on a school trip, so they're okay. So they come back to like the quarantine zone where they're like they're starting to rebuild London and whatnot.
Oh, just give up. Like
Well, no, because they're all dead now, right? So it's like, okay, we can just like start rebuilding England.
okay.
So his kids are back, and they're like, and he tell the story about how their mom dies. He's like, I tried to save her, but like she was already gone, and she's.
Oh, I feel like I know where this is going.
Yeah, it's a pretty signpost. But anyway, so they want to go and see their family home. The kids do, but it's outside of the quarantine zone. So they sneak out and they get back to their house. And guess what they find there, Trevor? You'll never guess what they find at their house.
Their mom.
Their
just
mom still alive, not infected,
Okay.
just chilling out for 28 weeks.
Man,
So
who wrote this one? This
Yeah. it's not as good as the first one by a long shot. So anyway, long story short, she's Ellie from The Last of Us and is immune to the virus.
Okay. But she's a carrier.
But she's a carrier, so not
Okay.
exactly like The Last of Us. So because she has different colored eyes, like chromatic thing, where you have one different colored
Right.
eyes, and so does her son. Important detail.
Okay.
So they have the same genetic defect, Trevor. That might be important later on.
Okay. Just like that's like
Foreshadowing.
David Bowie, right?
But yeah, David Bowie, yeah, so he would have been immune. So anyway, so they bring her back, and like it's the U.S. military are heading up this operation, even though it's mostly English and Australian actors pretending to be American, but that's fine. So they bring her back. Rose Byrne is the doctor, and
Is
she's
Jason Isaacs in this one?
no,
Or am I? Okay. Never mind.
he might have been actually. I can't remember. I only watched the recap. But then, so they figure out, okay, she's not turned, but she's a carrier, so we need to be careful with this. And then somehow or other, Robert Carlyle goes in to see her, and he's like, "I'm so sorry. Like, let's make up and be a nice couple again, and I'll go in and give you a little smooch." Gives her a little smooch, Trevor.
So the saliva?
Yeah, and then he immediately turns into a rage-infected zombie, and a non-zombie, and then causes a whole heap of mess because now there's another outbreak. Well done, Robert Carlyle. So then he's gone. Well, he's basically dead on the movie.
So they knew that she was a carrier?
They knew. I guess he didn't. I forget
So like
how that works.
like
in the
they,
movie.
including like the military, knew.
Well, because they've done all the tests on her and they figured it out that like, oh, she's
Man.
because then they want to make a cure, right? They're like, oh, we've got this person who's immune. Let's make a cure.
Well, why do you need to make a cure if there's no infected?
Because they need a cure, Trevor.
You know what the cure is? 2 in the back of the head.
Exactly. Let's just burn this woman.
Like do a Robert Carlyle and just like
Just leave her.
leave her to die.
Just don't kiss her, I guess is the thing, and maybe put a little bit more security on the room. Anyway, he didn't realize that, and so then it's like basically then it turns into now it's a huge mess, and then it turns into Rose Byrne, who's the doctor, trying to get the kids out of there and to get them to a helicopter, I think it is, and then I've totally forgot, but Jeremy Renner shows up and becomes like the new main character. I had no idea he was even in the movie. He's like he's one of the U.S. like snipers that are there, and he's supposed to be shooting all these infected, but then he sees the kid and doesn't want to shoot the kid, so then he decides to help the kid. So it becomes about Rose Byrne and Jeremy Renner trying to get these kids out of the UK, basically, while they're all bugging out.
Okay.
And then they basically all die, apart from the kids. And then
Are both kids immune or just the
no,
one?
just the boy.
And then
he's been bitten, by the way, so he's definitely carrying it.
Okay, so then did they get over to Europe at the end of the movie?
That's how the movie ends, basically, yeah.
Okay.
Although there's a really cool scene towards the end where they're trying to get to the helicopter guy, and he's like, okay, I'll save you, but somebody jumps on the helicopter, one of the infected jumps on the helicopter, and as he's trying to shake him off, he does the whole, like, I'm going to tilt down and just fly at a bunch of infected and just mutilate them with my rotor blades.
That's the scene I've seen.
Yes,
I've seen that one.
The ones if you've seen that, you don't really need to see anything else. That and the opening scene are basically all I remembered from the entire movie.
The plot sounds like pretty hacky.
It is basically pretty hacky. And then at the end, yeah, they take them off, and then the end is a shot of all the infected running around Paris, like running towards the Eiffel Tower.
Okay.
So that's basically it. That's all you need to know. So now it's worldwide, I guess, or at least Europe-wide.
Well, that's the recap, everybody.
Yeah.
There we go.
Went a bit deeper than I was anticipating, but I was really into it after watching that video. I think I missed my calling.
I honestly, I feel like I saw it.
Yeah, you probably don't need to. Some of them don't need to watch it, which is a shame because the first movie is so good.
It's amazing. It's an absolute classic.
It's a masterpiece, I think. And then the second one, it was just got a bit more like schlocky, like general zombie movie trope.
Yeah. Well, the first one, for being like one of the first big like digital films,
right.
It looks like total garbage.
Yes, it definitely. But it works, right?
But it's really it definitely works. And like it is sort of dated, but not in a way that I mind at all.
No, like, that's what I mean. Like the dated, like grainy, low quality of it, like it just works for the story. And
well, just like the fact that they were able to get those shots of downtown London,
it's crazy how they managed to do that.
And they basically had like 5 minutes or whatever. Like
it's trying to do it, and then like as soon as the sun comes up, just try and get the shots before people come.
Oh, it's just like absolutely incredible. And then like so many great performances, kind of right at the start of their careers.
Yeah, it is crazy. Like even just watching the recap, I was like, I had no idea. Like Brendan Gleeson's in there.
Yeah,
Christopher Eccleston. I was like, wow, this is like legit. Like who's who of British acting from those days. And
it's who you could get for cheap, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or who do you know? Who's your mates? I think that's what a lot of it was.
The one thing I always rubbed up against is I think that the start of the infection is a little lame
with the monkeys and
with
stuff.
The monkeys,
the chimpanzees, I should say.
It's like we're showing him like terrible news feeds, like it's like this is what the news media is doing to us all. Right. Like wink wink, do you get it? And then like just a monkey's really mad, and then that's what starts the whole thing. But it's fine. That's 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I also feel like they probably could have come up with a more jazzy name for the virus.
What is it called?
It's called the rage virus.
Oh, well.
It's a bit on the nose, but you know what? It's fine.
Yeah, it's like written by an edgelord.
It's rage. I've got rage, okay? I know I've got super rage.
And then this movie basically invented the fast zombie, although
started the craze, right?
They don't call them zombies in this, but no one calls them zombies.
Well, it's because they're technically not zombies because they're not dead.
Yeah.
That was something that was something the recap video made very clear. So you don't have to shoot him in the brain to kill him.
That's true. Yeah,
you can literally just strangle him or drown him if you really wanted to.
Yeah, and that's why they can they can starve, right?
Yeah, that's why they can starve and why you can just like mow them down with machine guns, and that's all you need to do. They're not unstoppable undead creatures. They're just very angry people. They're rage bomb. They're rage virus. See, they're just rageful.
So what do I call them? As like what's the
infected?
What's the shorthand? Yeah, I think they call them infected.
Yeah, they just call them infected. I think. I wonder if they're gonna do the thing where they give them cool names like they do in The Last of Us and stuff. It's like they call them ragies.
How just every section has like a different name for them.
What do you call them? Well, we call them ragies.
I still haven't watched season 2 of Last of Us.
I haven't watched it yet either.
There's too much good TV on right now. I gotta just catching up with a bunch of stuff.
We got the violins out in a minute.
What's that?
Playing the tiny little violin.
Oh, because we haven't.
Our lives are so hard. You ever heard that expression?
Oh yeah, you said let's get the violins out. I'm like, oh, what do you? I know what that was referencing. So yes, the tiny violin. Yes, for sure.
Yes. I should have said tiny. My mistake.
But no, I'm very excited for this. When I first saw the trailer, I think that trailer is incredible. Like
I can't remember if I've watched the trailer. I have somehow like stumbled into being completely blind to all of the stuff for this movie. I think all I've seen is the poster with like the big tower of skulls, and other than that, I haven't seen a trailer. I haven't seen a clip. I haven't seen a review. I know nothing about this trailer. Well, this movie. Well, I know that it's 28 years later.
All right,
and I know that it's like
what's Danny Boyle's?
They've made like settlements and stuff.
It's his first movie in 6 years. Kind of crazy.
It's been that long. What was his last one like?
Yesterday.
Oh wow.
He's been doing that weird Matrix show. He spent a lot of time doing that.
Oh, I didn't even know he was doing that.
No, I told you about that. It's the one like it's in
shows how much I just did.
Shows how much you listen to me.
What?
It was in Liverpool, I think.
Oh yeah, okay.
But yeah, he just did like a musical version of The Matrix. And
I remember you saying.
Apparently, it was really good.
Okay, well, yeah, I believe it. I like Danny Boyle, man. He's good.
I think he's pretty solid. Like he's got some stinkers, but he always has like
he's not perfect, but
he always has interesting ideas.
I never did watch Trainspotting 2 though.
It's good.
Is it?
It's like surprisingly good.
Oh wow, because I thought the scuttlebutt on that was that it wasn't very good, but
no, it's like totally solid movie.
Okay. Well, maybe I will do that one.
It's kind of about how stupid it is to make a sequel to Trainspotting.
Fair enough.
No, I would recommend seeing it. Like probably watch the first one.
Yeah.
Like right before you.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. Well, definitely watch the first one instead because it's
a while since I watched Trainspotting. Actually, I watched that a lot in the early when it first came out. I mean, everyone did, especially in England. It was like, well,
it was pretty big UK. Here too.
Yeah, it was a bit of a phenom. Is that what they say?
Yeah, sometimes in the 90s, certainly. But okay, do you want to put a pin in 28 years later?
Well, I'm excited to see it. Let's say that.
I'm super excited. It's going to be fun.
I'm hoping it's going to be an improvement on 28 weeks later. I'm a little bit glad I didn't rewatch that one, but I mean, it's fine. There's some really good bits in it, but.
Yeah, I caught the Pete recap version. That was good enough for me.
Yeah, it's a bit like you see everything coming from pretty far away. I mean, it does brutally like kill off. Like you think, oh, like I guess Robert Carlyle's our main character. Oh no, he's dead, and it's only an hour in. Okay.
And Jeremy Renner and Rose Byrne, like they must have had a pretty big budget for that movie.
And then they killed them off like pretty unceremoniously, and you're like, oh, I guess we're not following them anymore.
No one's safe.
Nobody's safe. And then the guy who saves him in the helicopter end is one of the guys who was in Lost. Which he must have been commanding some money. That was pretty popular back in them days.
I never watched Lost, so I don't.
I did.
Is that Matthew Fox?
No, it's I don't know who the character is. That's all I knew him from. Wasn't one of the big main guys. I don't think he was one of the side characters.
Was it the polar bear?
Yes, that's who it was.
Okay.
And it had Big Driss. Big Driss was like the army general in it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why he's like playing his American officer.
Yeah, yeah, because his career did take a while to get going.
Yeah, he was in a lot of stuff you don't realize.
And he does such a great American accent.
Yeah, he is pretty good. Like his string of bells was amazing.
All right, so should we talk Synderverse?
Yes, we need to get into Synderverse. We've been talking about Superman for so long. It's about time we got into the DCEU.
This is our 8th Superman episode.
Wow. Is that how many we've done? Wow.
Yeah. So
I
we
guess
did
so.
all
We got all through a lot of them.
the Golden Age Supermen. We talked about Christopher Reeve. We talked Supergirl. We talked Superman Returns last week.
Yeah.
Kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, I would say.
Yeah, a little bit. So, did Man of Steel wash that taste right out, Trevor?
Well, I think that Man of Steel was kind of more successfully doing what Superman Returns was trying to
I'm
do.
guessing you rewatched this, right? This week?
Yeah,
You didn't
just-
you didn't watch a 10-minute YouTube video, did you?
No,
That'd be so unprofessional.
I finished it about 10 minutes ago. And
Oh, really?
this is
I
only
watched it last night
my, well, I guess 10 minutes before I picked you up.
when I was watching my YouTube recap.
Um,
See, we do a lot of work for this show, guys.
I know. It was only my second time seeing the movie.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it might have been the only second time I watched it. I might have watched it a couple of times before, but it'd been a while since I'd watched it, definitely.
So I think like I did not like it as much as the last time, but I still think it's like, fairly good. I would
Yeah.
say like I you know what? Sorry, what you were trying to
No,
say.
I agree with you. I was just gonna say I feel like it's got parts that's good, and then some parts that I didn't like,
Well,
which kind of ruined it for me a little bit.
I think this benefited from me having seen Superman Returns, which made the decision that we're gonna just try to replicate as much as we can from the Christopher Reeve movies while going for a much more somber tone.
Yeah.
And like that combination of those two decisions did not work for me at all.
No, it definitely didn't work
Whereas
well.
whereas this one, like I do have to applaud like Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder for like just making some bold decisions for like just doing something different. And
They definitely made it their own thing for sure.
yeah, like I don't agree with a lot of the decisions that they landed on, but I do have to like applaud that they were like not sticking to the formula. Like they were trying to do something a bit different.
Okay, so I'm really interested because, especially as we ramp up to the new Superman, which seems to be going for more of the classic Superman tropes, which this one's strayed a little away from a little bit. I'm very interested to know, in Man of Steel, you just said some of the stuff you liked, some stuff you didn't. What did you like? What did you not like?
Okay, so I like most of the Krypton stuff.
That's what I was gonna say. I actually really loved the opening Krypton stuff. It's so cool. I was like, I want to see a show that's just this, and then I found out that I think there is one or something similar.
It's like Last Days of Krypton or something like that.
It's like a sci-fi show, right? But
so
I think who was the writer on Man of Steel? Dick Goyer.
Yeah, and Chris Nolan.
Yeah, but I think Goyer did the TV show.
Oh, okay. So what was the TV show?
It's called Krypton, I guess. That's what IMDb told me last night when I was looking into it.
Oh man, this totally passed me by.
I guess it was a sci-fi show. There was 2 seasons. It sounded like it was pretty good. Although some people did say it's a little bit 90210 Krypton because they're all like young people, and it's set like 200 years before Kal-El.
Okay.
So it's kind of just like. But apparently it's quite good. But then it got cancelled after 2 seasons, so I probably won't watch it. But I was like, I just want to see all these people look like on Krypton doing stuff, flying his little dragon around. It was pretty cool.
It's honestly such a rich world, and I gotta give Snyder a lot of credit. He's not like milking it; he's just letting things exist in the background, and like it's a lot of restraint for a guy who like later became not known for having restraint.
Right. And to be fair though, I mean, I think it's a good like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Of the movie is just like we're just doing Krypton stuff, and I was like, I wasn't like bored of like, can we get to the Superman? I was like, this is awesome. Like,
no, and I'm actually like I'm mostly liking Russell Crowe's performance.
Yeah, I was like, I remember when Russell Crowe was like really good like this.
And like
no offense, Russell Crowe, but you're.
And like that, this was him like on the downswing too, but he still is.
Bit, right?
He still is delivering.
Still clinging on to that like. Those glory days.
I have to think like he's taken on a role that was once done by Brando, so that's got to be pretty intimidating. True. Also, Brando on a downswing too was doing the role, so
fair.
Maybe like pretty good analogs between the two of them.
Yeah.
But it's the third time we saw this scene of like Jor-El standing in front of the
Yeah,
committee
that's what I mean. They
of
do a lot
Krypton.
of things the same, right?
But this is the best. This is the best of them, I think.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, the others are. It's not a high, massively high bar to clear that. I don't think.
Well, I
But
mean, just even Jor-El just trying to explain that
yes,
Krypton's dying, and they're like, "Nah, we don't believe you. You're crazy,
and
man."
even like the dumb outfits they wear, I think work. They just look cool. I'm like, I can get behind that they all wear these outfits, and that's kind of why he wears a Superman outfit that's similar.
Yeah, I'll get behind the outfits. I think like the whole like metallic morphing technology stuff
Yes.
looks a little lame. Like I
Well,
don't.
like I was reading about that, and I guess they were going for like it's all organic based. Like
Yeah,
their science is all based off organics
yeah.
like, and biology. So I kind of get that. It's
It's
like,
like, what about crystals? Where are the crystals
yeah,
at?
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I did get a lot of crystals in the last movie, so
Yeah,
maybe I'm
they
okay.
went a bit crystal heavy in the last one. Maybe that's why they swayed away from it. It's like we've had enough crystal structures.
Yeah, Krypton maybe goes on for like a little bit too long.
Yeah, they even though like I just said that I didn't mind that it was there because I loved it so much. I think my biggest problem with this movie is that parts of it seem a bit too bloated for me, and it could have done with like you say, maybe do 10 minutes of Krypton and spend a bit
Yeah.
more time on doing
Well,
any kind of relationship building between Superman and Lois Lane, which
and
I can get to because that's one of my big problems with this
okay.
one.
Well, I just think like they should have found some way to like in the battle between Jor-El and Zod, like Jor-El while dying should have found a way to send Zod to the Phantom Zone
Oh
because
yeah,
then it goes on for like another 5 minutes after
yeah.
like Cal gets away, and then they're like sentencing Zod to the Phantom Zone, which really just seems like they're saving his life.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we're all
That's what-
dying, but we'll
yeah,
send you to the Phantom
that was
Zone.
the one thing that I was a bit confused about because they're like, this is Krypton. They have space travel. They've sent all these scout ships out to all these different planets, and I get that they're like, we're not doing that anymore.
There's society in decay.
But when they then like, well,
It
this
seems
planet's about to
it
explode.
seems pretty obvious
I
it's exploding.
Yeah, and I feel like they could have easily just like put a big Wall-E style arc together and just got off the planet because that one they sent Zod in was pretty big. So maybe just like put a few more people than 5 people in that thing.
Also, why are you giving this guy a fucking ship?
Well, I guess it wasn't supposed to be a ship. They kind of retrofitted it to be a ship, I think, in the exposition that he's saying.
Okay.
They built an engine for it, and so I think it's not necessarily a ship. It's like a floating prison that they just put an engine on.
Okay.
That's my headcanon anyway. But it's still a stupid thing to do. Like, why send him into
Yeah.
space anyway?
All right. So, like, Krypton's what really works for me in
Yeah,
this movie.
Agreed.
Um, I actually I like a lot of the cast of
Yeah,
this
me
movie.
too.
I think Larry Fishburne as Perry White is really good.
Yeah, me too.
Especially compared to the last movie, like this Perry White like has some personality for like not having a lot of scenes at all.
That's true. Yeah, he does
Um,
get his little hero moment though, like in the big battle at the end.
I do like Amy Adams as Lois Lane.
Yeah, me
I think
too.
that's good casting. I'm never going to complain about Amy Adams in the movie though. I'm
No,
a big fan.
she's very good, and I like because that was my big complaint about the last movie. Was the Lois Lane character, but I think she did a really good job in this of nailing that tone of being like, I'm gonna do whatever the frick I want, and
Yeah.
I'm a ballsy reporter.
Um, I love how Henry Cavill looks, but
Man, he is
he's
so good. He looks so good.
he totally looks the part, but I feel like he's a little green in this movie.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I see it, but I think he did a really good job.
I liked him once, like Zod is around. Then it feels better. I don't really like the brooding sad.
Yeah, well, that's my
Like
thing. I think
pull my hat down.
yeah, that's the thing. When I was saying about, I think parts are bloated. I think they spend too much time of him being a drifter. I don't know what to do with my life, and I need to find a random ship in the Arctic for some reason. Or
Yeah,
it's
like
in Canada actually.
yeah, that whole sequence, like honestly, you could lift it out. I don't know, like really why Lois has to discover his identity and go on that thing. Like what? But what? Because like a big part of the movie is like the flashbacks to Jonathan Kent, played by
Yeah,
Kevin Costner, stealing Kevin Costner.
that is the other thing, and I know it's kind of it's one of the things that people harp on about this movie that they don't like is the Jonathan Kent character and like his sacrifice and whatnot. They think people think it's dumb, and I can't really argue against that. I mean, I really love Kevin Costner, but I didn't like his Jonathan Kent.
I love Kevin Costner too, but he's too big of a movie star to have in this role.
You know what? That might be it, but I also just think I don't like the way Jonathan Kent was written in this movie.
Well,
He's just kind of an
he
asshole.
has no warmth to him at all.
No,
Like
and
everything he's doing is for Clark, but
and it kind of pissed me off a little bit. Like his death scene, and I know that that's annoying. People say, and I'm not from the school of like Clark could have easily saved him; it would have been fine because he was still trying to figure out his powers at that point. Like,
yeah,
like he wasn't flying or doing super speed or all that stuff.
yeah, like
So
it was more ambiguous than I remembered.
yeah.
But
The thing that pissed me off though is that why is he running back into a tornado to save a freaking dog?
yeah,
And I'm a dog owner, I'm a dog lover, but I'm sorry, my dog is you're on your own, dog.
that's on you. That's on you.
I open the
Jonathan.
door if you want to get out the car, then I'm not risking my life for a dog.
No.
I've got family to look after.
The thing that really bothers me about this is that like the movie makes such a big deal about Clark being an alien. It's hard to be an alien because he's alone,
Yeah.
and there's all this fear that society would reject him, right?
Yep.
That's what the whole thing's building up to. That's what Jonathan Kent's sacrifice is all about. Then Lois Lane figures it out immediately. Like, so why was what was the whole point of this if
Yeah.
like then he just like kind of just reveals his that he's an alien and he's well, he doesn't call himself Superman yet.
Well, I guess
Like it just happens so quickly, like and then but like what is the arc of this movie then if not like it seemed like it was leading up to like your secret is so important people can't know that you're an alien here.
yeah. I that didn't rub against me because I thought that what the point was like keeping the secret is like the most important thing, and that's like Jonathan Kent's still trying to get into his head. But you can see that like that's going to be impossible because you cannot not save people. I mean, you can not save your dad because he's literally telling you not to, but when it's like a bus full of kids, you're going to save him, and that's how she finds him. Basically, is because that kid on the bus who sees him, who's at the IHOP, basically tells him, "Yeah, it's Clark Kent." So it's like, so I think the point is like, no matter how hard you try, you cannot save people and use your powers for good and expect people not to find out who you are.
And I don't want to be precious about the Superman lore, but it seems like the Kents instilling like good morals in him is such a big part of it. But for Jonathan Kent to be like the most important thing for you is that you have to just take care of yourself.
Yeah, because the scene where he's like, someone's supposed to just let people die. He's like, yeah. He's like, pretty much.
It's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
But then
I didn't like that either.
But like, Lois finds out his secret and then she's like, you know what? I'm going to just sit on this for like the good of the world. And then 5 minutes later, Zod's there saying, yo, there's an alien on this planet. Like,
and that guy's immediately like, Lois knows who he is.
It just that whole thing just doesn't work at all.
That was the crux of my issue with this movie. So the way I see this movie is, I really like the Krypton stuff, and I was on board with the structure they were telling with Drifter, him, and then flashbacks to his childhood. I kind of like that as like telling the origin. Yeah, I didn't really agree with the decisions they made, but I was into the way they were doing it. I was with it.
Yeah, I think, well, like, you got to do something different. You can't just do the same
honestly,
thing.
The entire middle section of the movie is where I have issues with this one, because it just felt like
it was just sort of wasting time
Yeah,
without building
it wasted
much.
time, but also rushed through things at the same time. Like the whole thing, like you said, with like him finding the ship that's kind of like the Fortress now, but it's really just a ship that's been there for thousands of years, I guess. And then like I that was also unnecessary, and for Lois to be there was all unnecessary. Like they could have easily just had the ship that he went there in have a little crystal that he could make it from, right? Like, don't mess with that. Just have him go and make a fortress, and then have Russell Crowe show up. Like, you don't need to do all this nonsense with this ship.
Well, what purpose did the ship really serve? Because the U.S. military finds the ship and then he flies it to a different location.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
what does
then
it matter?
Zod steals it at the end, so he can use it as a battleship. But
I know, but why did the
the
military have to find it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And all that was such a waste of time. But then, maybe it's just because they changed, like you said, they changed that whole relationship with Lois Lane, because there's not the, like, I know him as Superman and I'm falling in love with him because he's Superman. It's just like I've just met this guy
Yeah,
and I know everything about him now.
there's no duality in it. What
Yeah.
like he's just sort of one person.
Yeah, but even like it's not even a slow build up. It's just kind of like she
They just instantly fell in love
immediately fall in
because
love with
he's
him.
like one of the most handsome people
Yeah.
on the planet.
Yeah. So
The
that bit I was just like that. I didn't dig that. But then all the stuff at the end I was kind of into. Like
well,
I don't mind a big battle.
there's one editing sequence in the middle part before we move on to the battle
Yeah.
that just really bothers me.
Okay.
So like Lois tracks down like the fat kid from the bus
Mhm.
or whatever, and then she goes to the Kent house and says, I need to talk to your son.
Right.
Lois goes to the cemetery where Clark's visiting
Right.
his dad's grave. And then like 10 minutes later, there's a scene where a like Greyhound bus is dropping Clark off in front of the Kent farmhouse.
Yep.
He's going and hugging his mom.
Right.
You get the sense that it's been a long time since they've seen each other.
Mhm.
Like, so this guy was at his dad's grave, but then got dropped off at a so like got dropped
I see
off
what
at
you're
his mom.
saying.
So like his mom knew that he was at his dad's grave when they hadn't seen each other in years or whatever, and that's the moment that Lois Lane shows up and visits him at the cemetery.
Well, his mom didn't know that he was there though, right? Like,
She went straight from the Kent house to the cemetery.
yeah, but his mom said that she didn't tell Lois anything.
Okay, but why is it going to the cemetery?
Yeah, it's just because they needed to meet and have
But
a
that-
conversation. It was
No, but-
stupid.
But all they had to do was have that scene of him coming home first.
Yeah, very true.
Because
Very
like,
true.
why is he in town? That's also the exact same day that Lois Lane gets there.
Yeah.
And then, so that's like,
Yeah,
that's
this-
really small. It's just really sloppy editing. I think that like that scene obviously, obviously needed to have the scene with his mom first. There's no logical reason
yeah.
why it came after Lois came back.
Makes
a lot more sense for it to come after. Anyways, so we
Yeah,
can talk
there-
about the
there-
last bit now.
Yeah, there was stuff like that though. In the whole middle section, it just felt like it was a bit stuck together to move the plot along. Where it was sort of wasted opportunity to do some proper like character growth and relationship building that I was hoping for. But yeah, and I think they just really wanted to just get to the big final set piece is what it was. It's like let's just do a bunch of let's just put the pieces in the right place and then we can have the big fight at the end. Which was way longer than I remembered. Oh my word, it went on.
There were
for a
like
while.
multiple stages of it. Yeah, it's pretty long.
And like I understand and kind of agree with a lot of the criticisms to like they killed a lot of people during that fight, and a lot of it was like Superman being pretty reckless with his fight.
Yeah.
And like when he first fights Zod in Smallville, it
launches
just
him
immediately
through.
blows up like an entire factory. It's like, why did you do that? I know you were angry at him, but come on, man, be a bit more restrained.
I think this movie also suffers from just having too many of Zod's minions in
Yeah.
this. Like,
Well, that's true.
it's a lot cleaner in 2 when they just have 3 of them.
Why they just didn't have three of them? Because they didn't need any more.
Not
Apart from
really.
Maybe
They're
just a creepy doctor.
they're just
on
like
the ship.
a bunch of people for Lois to shoot.
Yeah, right. So the ghost Jarell can
My
like close
ghost
doors
dad.
on people.
Yeah. And he was doing it with such conviction too. He's like,
Yeah, he's
here we
really
go.
like like is it necessary for you to move your arm? Like is that doing anything? Is it like no, it's for a dramatic effect.
He was really into it.
Yeah, they could have cut a lot of that, to be honest with you. But no, like like you said, they took swings. It was very different from what's come before, and I appreciated them for that. I loved Cavill as Superman. I thought it was a very interesting choice to just basically not have a mild-mannered Clark Kent reporter in the movie until the very last shot.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna criticize it because it's obviously that was a choice that they were going for that payoff. And
The reason why it pisses me off is because, and maybe I'm just misremembering, and we'll get into it in future installments of it, but I don't think they ever picked that up in future movies. Like, did we ever see Henry Cavill's mild-mannered Clark Kent reporter?
I remember, like, he meets Bruce Wayne at a party, and then
Yeah, maybe
as like a
maybe there's
reporter.
more of that in Batman v Superman.
But
that I'm
no,
just not
like,
remembering.
I don't like, and let the next movie prove me wrong, but I don't know if Cavill has a mild mannered Clark
Well,
Kent.
that's
in
the
him.
thing that I'm thinking, right? It's like maybe they didn't do as much of that because they knew that it wouldn't.
No one would buy that
wouldn't work.
whatsoever.
It's like he's so massive. Like, I mean, Christopher Reeves was a big dude, but I mean, geez, Henry Cavill is a monster in this movie.
Yeah, like he's just like
He looks like a bodybuilder.
he looks like he's an alien that gets power from the yellow sun.
Pretty
Like
much.
he's just so perfectly cast for the role of Superman.
Yeah.
Like the problem is his Clark Kent is
Yeah.
um,
You know what? Just going off topic a little bit. You know what did bug me more than I remembered it bugging me? Was the no red shorts.
yeah.
And like I know that, and I guess they tried, like, or Snyder tried a lot of different variations. He really did like want to do it, or like knew how important it was, but he was just like, oh, he couldn't make it work. And
Well,
I think actually, why is his name popped out of my head? The new movie,
Gun.
James Gunn. I think he said the same thing. He's like, he went through so many iterations of the shorts, and I'm like, I don't think it's working, I don't think it's working, but then they just decided to do it. But like I
Just
was looking at the big, just the blue, the blue jumpsuit. I was like, man, it just needs something.
it needs something. Yeah.
Just put a
Well,
belt on or something. Like it's just too weird.
and probably my biggest gripe with the movie is the color palette. Like
Yeah.
this is right in kind of like that like totally washed out gray era
You know,
that like we're still sort of in.
you know what I was reading about last night, and I hadn't picked up on it, but I read it before I watched it, and I definitely picked up on it. But the style it was going for, especially with a lot of the shots and the space shots, where it was like that documentary, like zoom in sort of style,
Yeah.
it was straight out of Battlestar Galactica.
I could definitely see like yeah, like
They said
the
that.
lens, the zooms.
I think
Yeah,
they,
definitely. Okay.
I'm pretty sure they literally like pulled in some of the people, like the same people that worked on that, because that was the aesthetic they were specifically
Well,
trying to get.
there was definitely like the one guy who was in the bridge crew of Battlestar Galactica was one of the
Yeah,
U.S.
yeah.
scientists. Yeah.
Then
Well,
there was another guy who popped up. He was like one of the meathead soldiers in Battlestar
okay.
Galactica. He was in like a split second, like blink and you'll miss it.
That's hilarious. Well, I can definitely see it now. Well, then that show did have that palette for sure,
Oh
but
yeah,
there was very notably a red dress in that show, and then they made it work.
but yeah, they did right. Red will work with that palette. But I think it was more just the style and making it like
Yeah,
more gritty and realistic. I guess it was a wanky way of people talk about it, but
yeah. Like and again, like I'm giving this movie lots of credit for just trying
yeah.
something different because you can't just do the same thing over and over again, especially when the last movie just tried to do the
Yes.
same thing.
What it did well was like, because this was the first movie of the DCEU, and it was like, this is what we're doing. This is our Superman. This is basically all set up. This movie, pretty much. And by the end of the movie, it's like now we've got our world where there's a Superman, we've got a Clark Kent that's a reporter at Daily Planet, and we're off to the races. And I was like, it did that exactly well, and it made me excited to see
Yeah.
more DCEU stuff, which
So
may or may not go well. We can
so
talk about the next one.
is this the best DCEU movie?
Oh, I've got a real soft spot for Wonder Woman.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah. I don't want to forget about Wonder Woman. I love how Aquaman looks.
Yeah, there's some things in Aquaman though that is just a bit daft. But I mean, I
For
think the
sure.
first
Like
one, but you know what? Those movies were trying to be daft. I mean,
yeah, it's like
there's a freaking octopus playing the drums.
it's the stupidest
Like
it's the stupidest hero in
they
the
were
world. Like
trying
it's
not
so
to be
dumb.
stupid. So I need to go back and watch the first Aquaman. I think I only watched it once, but I do remember enjoying it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
It looks crazy.
yeah, and I think a lot of those movies kind of got bogged down in the DCEU-ness of it all. Like I remember before Aquaman came out, when Aquaman and Amber Heard had a scene in one of the other DCU movies. It must have been
Well,
maybe
like
Superman,
yeah,
and they did that like air bubble so they could have a chat. Like
right.
that seems like an odd way to have to communicate,
And then they just ditched
and
that
they
for
just
the yeah.
ditched it for the movie.
Well, and like obviously they were just trying to be Marvel, right? And
Yeah, well, they were
trying to
trying to get
compete
the
with
universe
Marvel.
together, and yeah, give them credit for that, I suppose. But it's a very difficult thing to do well. Just ask Sony.
Well, yeah, join us next week for Batman v Superman: The Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to rewatching that one
I've
because I
just seen
think
it once.
I've only seen it once too, and I remember really liking Batfleck. I want to go back and watch a bit more Batfleck.
I thought the movie was okay, and I remember being surprised at how harsh some of the
Yeah,
criticisms were.
yeah. It's one of
Um,
those things where it's like one or two. It's similar with Man of Steel. It's just one or two little things that kind of like people grab onto, and are like that actually now ruins the entire movie. And you're like, yeah, I can understand not liking these few things, but maybe that doesn't ruin the entire
Martha.
movie. Yeah, like, stuff like that, right? It's like stuff like that's dumb.
You know what though? It worked for me in the theater.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. You're like, oh yeah, I guess they both are
I
called Martha.
yeah,
You can imagine him in the
I don't
writing
know. Like
room.
if I'm just like if I'm just like totally like just like the stupid audience member that they thought I was, I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, that is kind of weird. Both their moms' names are
Right?
Martha.
You could just picture them in the writing room. It's like, you know what? They're both of their mums are called Martha.
No, it's someone running down a hall. saying,
Guys, we can take the day off. We figured that out. The third act is all
we've
worked out.
solved
You
it.
remember that big thing that we needed to make them be friends? I've got it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, one word, Martha.
They both got moms. They love their moms and they have the same name. Anyway, we can get into that next week.
So Pete and I, we just arrived at the theater. We are gonna go in and watch 28 years later, and then come back and give you spoiler-free immediate reactions before giving you plenty of warning before heading into spoiler talk.
Yes.
Anything else?
No, looking, like I said, I'm excited for this one. I know we talked about Superman for a while there, but I am excited for this one.
Yeah, infected. Okay.
Rage. I'm hoping for monkeys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're gonna bring back the monkeys. Believe you me.
Caesar will show up and just be like, apes infected together.
Man, I wouldn't even be mad.
Neither would I, to be honest.
All right.
Anyway.
Wish us luck. It's late, people.
See you in 28 seconds. Hello, everyone. Oh, we're back in the car. Been mere seconds to you. I know I said 28 seconds. It's more like
2.8 seconds.
2.8 seconds. There you go. It's been a bit longer than that for us, but we just come out of the theater having watched 28 years later. The third movie in the 28 Blanks franchise.
I feel like this is one people aren't going to want to miss. This is
Yeah.
I liked it.
I liked it too. It's not completely what I was expecting.
Yeah, to say the least.
So I'm still sort of processing a little bit of how I feel because I did like it and I enjoyed it, but I'm feeling a bit like I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, I will say Danny Boyle's directing and editing style is just so unique.
Yeah.
And like there were times in the movie where like he made certain like choices for just like coverage
Right.
that like no other person in the world would have made those choices, and like the movie is all the better for that. Like he'll just like cut away to a far like zoomed out lens that's like completely blurry.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, what? You know, why did he do that?
why not, right?
And so yeah, I really appreciated that about it. The story goes into such strange places that like
really
no
does.
one could possibly predict.
Yeah, it's a bit of what, like when it started, I was a bit like, oh, is this just gonna do like what I think it's gonna do? And then it didn't do that at all, and it did things I was not expecting it to do. So it's definitely like because the second movie we talked about, like you can see that coming a mile off. Where it's just like super generic, and I wasn't fully worried that this was going to do that, but I was a bit like, oh, they like telegraphing where this is going, but I probably should have known better than them doing that. But
Yeah, like I'd say like this is not a tonal sequel to the first movie.
no,
It's very, very different.
it's very different actually. Yeah,
Like it's a mix between 28 Days Later and like all the other crazy shit that Danny Boyle has done in between that.
That's a good point actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we forgot on the way here to say like that Alex Garland is also back for this project. 'Cause,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
he wrote the screenplay, so that's
Yeah, he did.
pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's I saw that Cillian Murphy was a producer on it as well.
Yeah,
So to get the team back together. But yeah, I'm trying to think what we can talk about without spoiling too much. I mean, it's
this is tough.
I mean, we can talk a bit about like the main crux of it, I suppose. It's not really a spoiler to talk about. Like, I was not expecting the main focus of the movie to be the son, the young boy.
Yeah,
Maybe
And-
that's just because I was not aware of whatever was going on in this movie, but Like I didn't even know I literally didn't even know like Aaron Taylor Johnson was in this. When
I
it
I
started, I was
I
like, "Hey, that looks like Aaron Taylor Johnson." And I was like, "Oh, it is."
I didn't know any of the cast that
No,
was in
neither
this,
did
and like
I. So there's a
uh,
few surprises in this one for
yeah,
sure.
Jodie Comer's
Yeah,
in
yeah,
this as well, and they're both great.
yeah. But I was expecting Aaron Taylor Johnson to be like the main sort of the main character that we stay with for the movie, and it doesn't end up being completely that way.
Yeah, and this movie takes place mainly on an island and on
Yeah,
the mainland in like Highland, Scotland. Whoa,
yeah.
Jesus.
Oh.
That's the worst possible place for him to do that.
This is cyclist just sort of on the side of the road,
Stop,
but
like
a little bit in the road.
disguised in between pylons.
It's okay. He was wearing fully black outfit, crouched behind a barrier.
Yeah, and it's midnight, so that's great.
Yeah, good luck to him.
Yeah, and there's a very simple uh plot that they could have gone with
Yes,
in this
definitely,
movie.
definitely.
Excuse me. Yeah, and I actually I thought there were a few times in the movie I thought, okay, we're settling into what the plot's going to be, and
Yeah,
it's not
that's
what.
exactly what I thought. Too. It's like, okay, I think I know what's happening now. Like we'll get into the story, and it's like, oh wait, no, we're going this way, are we? Okay, fair enough. Was not expecting that.
And even like the side tangents it goes down, like
Yeah,
uh, lots of twists and turns from those too. So
true, very true.
it's a movie that keeps you guessing, I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
say. And
yeah.
then there's lots of room for Boyle to do like very strange editing choices, which I loved. Like I honestly love
Yeah.
that part of the movie. Like, and it like cuts away to like footage from old British films and stuff, which
Yes, I
is
was into that for sure. Like the I love the way it did that. It's how almost like you go back to and it's not the only movie that's ever done this, where it's like you take away all of the trappings of civilization and you just you quickly revert to like how it was in the past.
yeah. Well, yeah, and like this movie has like it's like a pagan movie almost,
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
it's sort of like The Wicker Man,
Yeah,
if
that's
you've
what
ever
I
seen
mean. Like it
that
goes
original.
back to like base human sort
Yeah.
of emotions and actions, and
Well, there's a lot of naked infected people
I
running
did like
around.
that choice because it makes a lot of sense. Like after 28 years, it's like they probably wouldn't still be wearing clothes at this point, right? They would have just fallen away.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of big floppy penises are flopping around in this movie.
Yeah, some huge dicks flopping around.
Rage dicks.
Rage dicks.
That's your thing. I did kind of not really understand how they were still alive after 28 years. I mean, I guess you could just live off. I mean, it seemed like there's plenty of wildlife still about.
Yeah, it seemed like they were mostly focusing on wildlife and grubs and
Yeah, it
worms and
didn't
stuff. And
feel like you could really sustain yourself for that length of time, but whatever, that's fine.
yeah,
And I would say, like, I was not worried that I'd missed the second movie going into this movie.
yeah, I don't think that
It's a
matters at
bit of
all.
an immediate retcon on that movie, and just like we don't worry about that.
Well, the movie basically starts with like, hey, there's this rage virus. It was driven back from
Yeah,
continental Europe.
remember that cliffhanger from the last movie, end of the last movie? Don't worry about that. We're just
Yeah,
gonna pretend that didn't happen. This but could have just been a sequel to the first movie, and it wouldn't have made any difference.
and I was going into this thinking like, are there going to be some Brexit overtones
Oh
to
yeah,
it?
oh, yeah. Well, yeah, true.
And there are
A little bit, yeah,
because there's a relationship between the UK and the mainland of Europe here,
yeah.
but it's not really what the movie's about.
No,
It's just sort of like an undertone there.
although I did notice, and we kind of talked about the Americanization of the second one and bringing the US in, and them being kind of the overbearing military like force. There's distinct lack of any sort of US involvement in this movie at all.
Yeah,
I don't think they're even mentioned. It's mostly just European forces in England.
I have to check. I don't know if there are any American actors in the movie either.
That's a great point. Huh.
So a total Total retcon. Your recap was useless.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm glad I only spent the 5 minutes watching that recap. And sorry for wasting your guys' time on my 10-minute recap of the 5-minute recap. But no, it's a little bit of like we're not going to worry about that movie. Don't We'll do our own thing,
Yeah.
which I'm not upset about in the least.
And so yeah, the movie is really like a coming of age story in a
Yeah,
way that I was not
basically, yeah,
expecting.
yeah, very true, very true.
Um, and-
Also, I felt a bit like way smaller in scale than I was anticipating.
yeah, and I did not mind that at all.
No, I don't mind that at all either. I think that can work much better.
And honestly, probably would have worked even better if it like stayed even smaller, maybe.
Yeah, I mean we can get into that. Although I was kind of there was a little part of me that was like I kept waiting for something big to happen in terms of like I mean not that the big things didn't happen, but I don't know, like more of a and I don't know if this is the video game like part of my brain that's like, oh, we need to get to the main boss at the end of this. This like if we're
Well,
walking through the woods, trying to avoid zombies. There's got to be an end game here, and it kind of felt like that wasn't what it was doing.
there's definitely a video gamey element to this movie.
Yeah, it's hard to not have that though when you're dealing with
Yeah,
trying to hide from zombies and kill them and whatnot.
but you know what? I'll save the particular reference uh
Right,
for spoilers because the reference itself might be a spoiler.
right, gotcha.
Anything else you want to get to before we go into?
Um, is there anything we haven't touched on? What do you think of performances? Thought they were all quite good.
Well, one of my favorite things I've seen Aaron Taylor Johnson in for sure.
Yes, and I really like him actually. I just think
You've been a defender for a
I,
long
I
time.
have. I
Craven
like
was your
dig
favorite
him.
film last year,
Well, I still
right?
haven't seen it actually. Have you watched it?
No,
No, neither have I.
honestly
I
like
still haven't watched Madam Web or Morbius to be totally honest with you.
I have like a watch list of like 300 movies or whatever.
Yeah,
I would have to live to
it
be
slides
I would have to
down,
live
right?
to be 1,000 to watch
It
Craven.
keeps running down the pecking order for sure.
Or like I lose a bet or something.
No, yeah, that's what I feel like he's been unlucky with some of his choices. Let's say that of stuff that he's done because I've always enjoyed him in whatever he's in, even if the movie's not amazing. But yeah, I'm a
Yeah,
big
he
fan
was
of
really good.
his.
And like Jodie Comer's someone that I'm like getting to be a pretty big fan of.
Oh yeah,
We just saw in Bike Riders last
yeah,
year.
very true. Yeah,
She was doing
you love that movie.
I love that movie and I love her performance. She's doing a very silly accent in it, but I love it.
Yeah,
And yeah, of course, she's in The Last Duel, which I talk about all the time. I like her a lot as an actor.
the one thing I do love about this movie, and especially what I loved about the first movie and the second one to an extent, but how very British these movies are.
Yeah,
It's like very British. Like this one's very northeast. Like they're all Newcastle. They even go. Not It's not a spoiler to say that the Angel of the North makes an opinion makes an appearance in this movie, and I'm like, I just love that. It's just very like this is where it's set, and this is where we are. I love how the first one
well,
the main crux of the first movie is them trying to get to Manchester, which I really appreciated.
well, Danny Boyle's from Northern England, right?
Yeah, he's a North
Is he
boy.
from
I'm
Manchester?
not sure where he's from specifically. I think he's closer to Manchester than he is to Newcastle for definitely. But yeah, I'm not entirely 100% sure, but he's definitely Northern. So yeah, he's one of our own.
Yeah, yeah, he's a good one. There.
He's a good one. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard because there's stuff I want to talk about, but yeah, I don't want to ruin it for people because I think I appreciated not knowing much of anything about this going in, and not that I think like it was spoil. It would you could really spoil it, but
Well, one thing I can talk about is I felt uncomfortable for most of the runtime of the
oh
movie.
man,
I this feeling,
anxiety
yeah,
inducing, which is crazy because it wasn't like it's just masterfully done because it's not like
yeah,
oh no, it's not like it's an onslaught of stuff happening. It's just like it's the way the way it's shot and the
Well-
way the way that tension builds in some things. It's just
And having
so stressful.
the main character be a 12-year-old boy
Yes.
is so stressful because
It
you
really is.
feel like you want to protect him
Exactly.
the whole
It's like,
time.
please, like, can you be a bit safer, please?
Yeah.
Like, don't
Well,
do that.
There's a scene very early on where the boy and the dad are together, and then they have to get away,
Yep.
and then you're just like, all right, come on, like let's
Please
just
please
get him up,
hurry
come on.
Yeah, please just go. Yeah, no.
And this is definitely a father and son movie, and
It is. Yeah,
and
I was not expecting that.
and a son and mom movie too. Like,
It's a bit of a family movie on the quiet,
I guess so, yeah.
and actually a little bit of a feel-good movie in some aspects.
Like
In a very odd way.
The absolute weirdest feel-good movie you
Yeah,
could
I know,
imagine.
right? I was
Like,
not expecting that. Let's wait to get into that, so we don't want to spoil it.
yeah, but that like
It's not what you were expecting, I would say, in a good way.
yeah, Boyle brings back like that early digital look and
Yeah,
feel.
yes.
Like, doesn't fully commit to it, and like, thank goodness. But also, I do appreciate that he didn't make the movie look as good as it could have been all the time. Like
there was a couple of stylistic things he did that I really didn't like.
Okay.
Which we can talk about in spoilers. It's not really a spoiler, but I don't want to give too much away, so we can talk about that. But yeah, there's something that I didn't like what he did in some respect. But
was it the big zombie dicks? Is that?
yeah, they were too small.
Well, that's a choice. You got to respect his vision as a
Guess so.
director,
I guess so.
or that's how Garland wrote it.
Attack of the micro dick zombies.
Yeah.
That's the next one. All right. Well, yeah, I think we should just jump into spoilers.
We're just dancing around it too much.
I'm struggling too much to think of what we can talk about without ruining it. So let's just.
Well,
it's worth watching, guys.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say I liked it a lot. I definitely think I need to do a rewatch of this one now. Now I know what to expect, because I was a bit not thrown off, but you know when like you feel like you're not really knowing what's happening and you're not really jiving with it. I felt a little bit like that part, especially towards the end, and the way it ended without ruining things. I don't know how I feel about. I thought I was not expecting that, but yeah, we can get to that shortly.
Well, join us next week. We're going to be talking Batman v Superman: The Dawn of Justice.
Dawn of Justice.
And then next week we're going to be.
What are we watching next
Is it
week?
F1 next week?
Might be, I think it is, yes.
I think it's F1. We're going to go see F1 in 4DX.
4DX.
It's gonna be amazing.
Feel like we're sat right on Brad Pitt's lap.
Oh,
It's going to be amazing.
feel that baby purr. It's our second 4DX movie. We also did Twisters.
We did.
Twisters.
That's pretty fun, actually.
Yeah, and I didn't throw up. I'm gonna take another gravel before we go to this one.
Yeah, I think this
Just in
one
case.
might be a bit more twisty turny, throwing you around your seat a little bit,
I would imagine so.
rather than just like blowing air in your face.
Have you seen the haptic trailer?
I haven't.
Yeah, Anthony sent me that.
Yeah, I
that-
saw that he'd sent it over, but I haven't had a chance to look at it.
It's-
Like, what does it do? Like, make your phone do stuff?
Yeah, like your phone just like vibrates and moves
Shoots out the window and like drives down the street.
pretty much. No, yeah,
That's interesting though.
you're like, yeah, the haptics on your phone just, and it like vibrates and moves in the way like to mirror the stuff going on in the trailer.
That's interesting. I'm gonna have to check that out.
I'm very interested. 'Cause F1, it seems like there's a sex scene in there, so I wonder how the chairs are gonna move.
Oh,
During that?
that's hilarious.
Just thinking that someone had to program that is really funny.
Right.
Any-
I was gonna make a really off-color comment there. I'm just gonna save it so we don't lose people.
Save it for next week.
Yeah, I'll bring it out the big guns next week with my
Okay.
horribly off-color jokes.
And definitely, if you're listening, if you're still listening,
I didn't say it.
subscribe to the podcast and tell your friends.
Yes, and go if you haven't seen the movie yet, go watch it. Then you can come back and listen to us to delve into the spoilerific stuff.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, let's do it.
What do you want to talk about? So, okay,
I don't know.
the
man.
video game
There's a lot to talk about.
the video game reference I was going to say was Left 4 Dead. because
Oh,
there's
okay.
so many different types of infected now. There's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there's a crawly, there's the alphas,
yes.
there's the
Yeah, I didn't really know how I felt about that.
well,
I,
it's
I,
yeah,
I honestly felt there was a lack of zombies overall in this movie. There wasn't like big marauding zombie attacks. There was like it's more like there's alphas, and then they had like a band of like
they have packs,
five
yeah.
or six, but there was only like two or three packs in the whole movie.
But that's also kind of fitting though,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I mean
Because
because it's going for that smaller scale again, I guess.
well,
But
there's a lot less people in the UK
yeah,
now,
that's
and
very
then
true. That's very true.
um, a lot of the infected probably did die off of
Yeah,
starvation, right? These are the ones who've banded together to, like, I guess either you have to go around eating worms
you're just
to
sliding around.
sustain yourself.
It's funny that the ones that slide around on their bellies just eating crap off the ground are the ginormously fat ones. It's like, wow, they must.
You're not burning a lot of
I
calories when you're that
guess, and I
low to
guess
the
those
ground.
worms pack a lot of fat in them.
I think it's good protein.
I guess so.
I gotta say, like, for those guys though, like, don't they have high cholesterol? Like, isn't that an issue for them? Like, would they just die of heart failure?
Yeah, right? Like having a heart attack and stuff. Yeah, yeah. That's what I like. I don't really. That's why I'm not sure how well that worked for me. Because in the first movie, it was very much like you get the rage virus, you are like your brain's just firing rage, and then you just run around basically until you go nuts. But like, I don't think in my brain I can't equate that to like, oh, but then after 30 years, you actually turn into a gelatinous blob that slides around on the floor eating worms. I'm like, well, how? That's not rage virus. That's something completely different, surely.
Yeah, they were saying the Swedish guy Eric.
Oh yeah, did I miss something when I went to the bathroom?
Well, he said that it has to do with like um steroids or
Okay.
whatever. Like the rage virus acts like steroids,
All
and I
right.
don't know exactly because he trailed off because the kid didn't know what he was talking about.
There was some funny lines when he was talking about going online and delivering packages and stuff, and the
Yeah, he's
kid's
like,
like, "What?"
it's like, all right, package. Well, going online, right? He's like, what?
You know what a delivery driver is,
And
right?
saying that his girlfriend looked like she had like a seafood allergy.
It's amazing. That was such a weird concept of like the rest of the world is just living life like normal, and then like the UK is just this fucking wasteland.
Yeah, like that's the Brexit stuff, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Um, yeah, but then like I have no idea what the long term effects are of taking
Yeah.
steroids, but I guess maybe there's some bloating involved.
Sure, sure. Well, I mean, and you don't really need to get like worry too much about the science of it.
Yeah.
It's a virus. It does shit.
Well,
Don't worry about it.
it was announcing from when, you first saw those like weird blubbery boy infected
Yeah,
that
yeah,
this movie's going to be taking itself a little less seriously.
yeah. True, true.
And I was actually fine with it. Like I could see some people, who are huge fans of the tone of the
Yeah,
first one
yeah.
being a little disappointed by
Yeah,
those
I think
decisions.
I was a little disappointed to be honest with you. That's why I'm like I'm not sure how I feel because I think it just well because it was a bit jarring. I wasn't expecting it. Like I don't know if I need to see it again. Now I know what to expect because I know I did enjoy the movie and I do like what it did, but I don't know. It's a bit one of those things where it's like it's not what I expected, which is no fault of the movie. That's just my own expectations. So
I don't think anyone could possibly have expected.
true, true.
Well, there were a few different avenues I thought I was going to go down because
Yes.
they killed what looked like to be a mother and father, like
Yeah.
bloaty boy, and then
Right.
there was
And then there
like
was like a
a kid
little kid bloated
who
girl.
looked scared and turned around and ran.
Yeah.
So I thought the movie was going to be going towards like the infected have started their own societies. They have a kind of intelligence. They have like the feelings of their own.
Yeah. I was like, same with you. Like we got to that point, I was like, oh, I see. They're just doing I Am Legend.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
was like, I hope they don't just do I Am
I
Legend.
was hoping for the same thing.
Especially with like the
So,
alpha, and they were really playing it like the alpha was like, that's my baby, and he was only going after them because it's like, I want my baby back,
yeah.
when he's with Ray Fiennes hiding in the bunker and he's like and he almost kills him. I was like, he's trying to get his baby because he's like, I am legend. And I thought they were going to do the scene where they just give him his baby and he's like, oh, thank you. And then just walks,
Yeah.
goes away back to his
And thankfully they
little
did not
zombie
do
camp.
that.
And he did, but I feel like maybe they are wrapping up to that still. They're just saving it for the next movie. I feel like they didn't really resolve that.
Well, that's okay. So, like, are they doing another movie?
I quickly I did some quick googling on our way out there, and yes, there's a movie already in production, but I think it's more I suppose because I think I read about it before I went in as well, and it was supposed to be like they were calling it a spin-off, but it seems like it's gonna just be a sequel to this movie from the ending of this movie.
Right, because like Jack O'Connell, like fresh off of playing the bad vampire in Sinners, is
Right.
playing like this tracksuit wearing,
Which
jive
I found
talking.
really odd the way that they bookended this movie.
Oh, was it? Was it on?
Like, but yeah, I mean, obviously the ending was odd, but I mean, like the decision to do that was odd though, because they did the opening and like kept up with the tradition of doing really fucking dark openings of
Yeah,
28 something later's movie with that like room full of kids that just get eviscerated in front of that one
that
kid
was tough to
who
see.
then I don't know, man, I was like, oh my god. And then the kid running to find his father who's like a religious zealot who's just like, come and take me. And then that kid who's like, why have you forsaken me? And then the whole like, here's my crucifix, and remember the crucifix because
Yeah, well,
it's Chekhov's crucifix. And then the whole movie, I was like, where's Crucifix Kid? Because I was like, is that Aaron Taylor Johnson?
I thought, yeah, is this it? Like, it can't be. Like,
Yeah, it's like when's this
it
crucifix
was
showing
be
up?
the
And then
right
it
age.
shows up like a minute, like 2 minutes before the movie
Yeah.
finishes. It's some fucking gonzo random shit that came up at the end. It was like it was out of a totally different movie.
No,
And I
like
was
they're
like,
doing
what is
crazy
happening?
flips.
It was like it turned into a Tarantino movie for like 3 minutes.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I can think of is that like both that Jimmy character and the what was the boy's name again? Oh, Spike.
Spike, yeah.
Sweet name.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
They're both like, "Hey, dads suck, right?" Like we
I guess.
this is what happens when your dad fucks you up.
I think that was one of the things where I was saying like I don't know how I feel about this movie because I'm not necessarily a fan of movies that end on a cliffhanger,
Yeah.
especially movies like this. Like some movies where you know you're going in and it's a part one, fine, you can prepare yourself. And maybe I just should have prepared myself and read up on this that it was. But like it didn't play like a part one of a movie until the last 5 minutes of the movie, and then I was like, oh, this is also set up for something else, and then it just finishes, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, I'm glad that it ended with a bookend of the Jimmy character.
yeah, well, yeah, it definitely needed it.
I'm still processing how I feel about it altogether because I feel like this movie would have been better had you just removed the bookends. But
Yeah, yeah. But
the
then
opening was really great.
the opening was really good, but I mean, what you could have done though was rather than bookend it with this Jimmy stuff, you could have done that exact first scene, but just have it be the Aaron Taylor Johnson character, and like just change it a little bit. You don't really need the dad.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But
Because then it would have made a bit more sense because that's how he lost his dad, so he's trying to make sure his kid is prepared and he's gonna like make sure he's there for him. But instead it's just like, no, that's a totally different character. Don't worry about that at all. It makes no difference to the movie in any way because it's not about any of the characters. It's like, okay, fair, fine, that's fine.
yeah, I think it's a I hate my dad thing.
Yes, so
Because like he's not going back to his village because he's still so mad at his dad.
yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
And yeah, this is a very interesting coming of age story because like it starts off with him following his dad and like he like obviously looks up to him and idolizes him, and then there's like a huge like come to earth moment when he realizes that like
That's full of shit.
yeah, and he hears his dad like lying about
Yeah.
stories that like he was just a part of. He's like that it didn't happen that way. Like the story itself is already pretty good. You don't have to exaggerate
It's
like
definitely
that.
like he gets a rude awakening that like
Yeah.
the life on this little island that all he knows and what he thinks is reality is not reality, and there's a whole other world out there, and everything you know on this island is mostly bullshit. Uh,
Well,
so,
and it's interesting that the dad takes him out like a couple of years early. They said
Yeah.
14, 15's the standard.
I kind of agree. It seemed
I-
wildly irresponsible.
I definitely agree with it.
It's like, why? What? Like, you guys was so dead.
I want to say it's because he cares about his son, like he wants him to grow up knowing this stuff,
Right.
and he's adamant, like, you have to look at it, and you have to be the one to put him down because you need this experience.
Yeah.
But no one is honest with him that his mom is dying.
Yeah, that was kind of odd. But like, I didn't know they were gonna go cancer, but
Well, I thought like she was like, manic depressive or something.
yeah,
like that.
because they didn't really make it super clear what was going on.
Well, I was calling that the bacon was infected.
The infected bacon.
Because no one was eating it, and then they put it on the side of the table with the mom. And so that's where I thought it was
really
going for a
focused
bit.
on the bacon, right?
Well, it even went back to the shot of the bacon. I guess it was to show she didn't eat it.
Right, I guess so.
But anyways, infected. But then there's also
big on swine, man.
Yeah, because it was imported from Europe. That's why.
That's exactly it. It's all that Danish stuff.
But yeah, no, it didn't go that way. And then when that baby was born,
that whole thing was so weird.
I was thinking he was going down the I Am Legend.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, in my mind, I'm like, that has to be what they're doing here. But then there wasn't really a payoff for that. He just sort of dumped the baby back at the island and was like, I'm gone.
Well,
it all seemed like it was like just to set stuff up, and there wasn't really payoffs to stuff. I felt like,
is this baby gonna have a cure? But no, it's just a baby.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
But yeah, probably a lot of stuff for the next movie. Like
so this is my question: Are they telling us that these infected are fucking?
Either that, or she was infected while she was already pregnant. But I think I think that they're probably fucking each other.
That's what I was thinking.
Because it seems like with those alphas, they are sort of developing little cultures.
Yeah. Which, no, that's the other thing. Like, they seem to be setting up like, oh, there's alphas and they're smart and they do this and they've got little crews. And like, then they just like didn't really expand on it from there. It's just like, we won't really get into that anymore.
Yeah, I think it was just like setting the new rules of this world, and that like there's not a million infected wandering around anymore.
Yeah, it's just big ones.
The only thing that can survive are like the bottom feeders and the ones who have crews.
Alphas and the betas.
When that one alpha was like chasing them down
in the water.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty fucking terrifying. Yeah,
man, oh my word.
Well, I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson was gonna like just grab them and try to launch them both into the canal there.
Yeah, I thought that was definitely the dad's getting sacrificed moment.
Yeah,
but yeah, I was surprised he actually made it through the entire movie.
Yeah, well, good for him.
Yeah, a lot of them did.
He broke a rule though. He's going after. He opened it up to go after his son. You're not supposed to do that.
That's true. He didn't get very far. To be fair, people are like, where are you going? I did not know Ray Fiennes was in this either. When he showed up and it was him, like, oh, that's perfect.
We have to fucking talk about Ray Fiennes.
What a great performance.
He's just so friendly and like just so weird.
It was so well done because they set him up. The whole movie is like, oh, it's the psycho doctor that does weird shit with corpses, and he's just like, he's lost his mind, he's insane. And then they rock up and he's just like a really nice guy, and he's just like, no, I'm actually just like really trying to make a monument for all these people who have had lives so that we can remember them. Like, that's actually really sweet, but in a creepy way.
Yeah, so like it like should have played like a horror movie as they walked in there, but
that's what I was expecting.
They see the beauty of it. They're like, wow, this is really incredible. And like Ray Fiennes is so excited because he's like, I thought I would never be able to tell this to anybody.
I thought this was all going to be for no reason. Because he was really creepy, like cleaning the skulls, and then he goes and takes his mother away, then brings her skull back. Like, that should be dark, but it was actually really sweet. I was like, oh, like he's got his own skull.
They shoot him with morphine. I guess they had talked about it behind the kid's back or whatever.
I guess he doesn't have needles, only blow darts.
It's so fun.
It seemed like not the best way to do that.
He hands his mother's skull to the kid, and the kid is like, I'm gonna find the best spot for my mom's skull. And what would be going through my head at that point would be, I came here with a mom and you just handed me a skull?
That's what I mean. It should have been like so... Like, that kid should be so fucked up. long before that, even that bit, this kid should be like, I'm never leaving my bed. Like
Well,
these giant fucking zombies almost kill me, and the Swedish character does call them zombies in this movie, which I
that
appreciate.
that was pretty funny in that.
He was like, you know what, they are zombies, so I'm going to call them zombies. Like,
'Cause
okay, we see.
it seems like for the most part, the world has moved on
Exactly.
in the exact same way, except that there's just a
It's like
zombie UK.
they all saw 28 days later, and no one goes to England anymore. And there's been this online discourse about are they zombies or not in the actual world of 28 days later, which I really did like quite enjoy.
So yeah, so were were those the stylistic
Oh
choices
no, the
you
one thing I
got
feel
to?
yeah reminded me. It was when they first started shooting people with people, yeah, the infected with arrows. The first few, like the big guys, it was doing like the camera swing, like the
Right.
Matrixy type swing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I really just like it really took me out of it. And I was like, why is that necessary? It was almost like video gamey, like
It's like
Matrixy action.
to show it go in and then out the other side,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, I mean, I get that, but it just seemed like to me, it came off as like gimmicky, like action movie gimmicky versus like
Yeah.
a 28 Days Later movie where it just like just show the arrow going into the infected guy. Like you don't need to make it exciting. And then he kind of seemingly just kind of dropped that after the first three, four kills. It was like, you know what, I'm not doing that anymore. Just
Yeah,
go,
I guess because the weight of it had been taken away from it at
yeah,
that point or
yeah.
whatever.
I don't know. I just
Um,
that just tripped me up. And it was just a small nitpick, but I was like, oh, I don't know why he did that.
do you think that well, it's pretty obvious. Like the guy who was hanging upside down was put there by Jimmy and his crew
Yeah,
in that
I'd
house.
forgotten about him actually, but I guess so, eh?
Do you know what was on that guy's
Yeah,
chest?
that's I think that's what I'm struggling with. It seemed like there was lots of threads in this movie that kind of just were left open. And I don't know if that's because they want to do more movies and sort of come back to it. But like, yeah, like what was on his chest? Who did that? Why have something written on his chest if you're never gonna A, bring it up, or B, call back to it?
Yeah, I had no idea there was going to be a sequel to this movie.
Neither did I. So I was like, when I was like, okay, we're at the end of the movie now. When he's like, I'm going off, Dad, I'm going to be by myself. I was expecting it just to end there. And I was like, we're at the end of the movie now. This it seems like the point where the movie's going to end. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this because I feel like there's so many unanswered questions and
Yeah.
so many dangling threads. Like I feel like this is not going to be a satisfying finish. And then it throws in that Gonzo bit at the end, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing. There's going to be more movies. That makes more sense. But I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that because I wasn't expecting to have to go back and see more movies.
But do you think that that one infected burned his mouth when he ate that fish that was straight off the fire?
Yeah, you went right for that bit. If you were Spike, you'd be so pissed. Like I managed to skewer this fish with a bow and arrow, and it's massive, and I was so happy I got a fire going, I've cooked it, and then all of a sudden these fucking idiots just come and run and just steal it.
Be pretty pissed off. Yeah.
I'd be devastated. Then at least like the tracksuit crew. Like it
Just
was so weird, man. They're all doing mad flips and stuff, and like they're like, yeah. I was like, what is happening? Oh.
I
I appreciate when movies throw shit at you that's just like
yeah,
mental.
I
But I just like it's so out of with everything that just happened. I'm like, this is such a tonal whiplash I'm getting right now. It's insane.
like I don't think that I like the choice, but
I can appreciate it.
well, I respect that, both Boyle and Garland just want to get it as weird with it as possible. Like
Yeah.
they're almost committed to like not giving people what they want.
It's very true, very true. Yeah, that's definitely what it was like. Like, yeah, like I feel like I'm talking myself into not liking this movie very much, but I really did. I did
It
enjoy it.
kind of sounds stupid when you talk about it, the
Yeah,
thing, but
and
like
like the more I talk about it, the more I realize like why I feel the way I do is because there are so many things in it that I feel like just didn't go anywhere or didn't pay off.
but I just love the feeling of watching the movie. Like
Yeah, it was so
it is
tense.
very scary and tense, and like I legit didn't know where stuff was going. Like,
No,
and
that's very true.
um like I kept waiting during the Ray Fiennes thing for like, okay, where's like when's the shoe gonna drop here?
Yeah,
And then
I think he's just gonna turn and just be a complete psychopath. Because I was
it's,
like,
it's like when they got to the military, like in the
yeah,
first
because he
one.
said like he's been on his own for like he said like 20 years or whatever.
Yeah, he should
Like
be a little
you
weird.
would definitely be weird. Like
Where's he getting all that
insane.
iodine?
He seemed to have a lot of it, didn't he? At one point, I thought it was just blood, but
That can't
I
be
guess
good
he
for
had a
you, right? But
stash.
though, like,
No, so isn't it like poisonous mostly? Like I'm pretty sure get it in your eyes and stuff. It's not
you
good.
can't, you definitely can't ingest it. That's for sure.
But, yeah, he's a doctor, man. He knows what he's doing.
Sure.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Where I was like, he seems to have a lot of supplies for being 3 decades in at this point, almost. But I mean, I guess if there's a lot, if most of you people get infected and die, there's probably going to be
So,
supplies knocking around.
like people on that island.
Yeah, and just like in general, like the doctor seems
Well, I
to
get,
have seems to
yeah,
have a ton of fucking morphine from somewhere. Like I feel like after 30 years, you'd be running low on your morphine supply.
but I think you
Especially
said,
you got nothing else to do.
I think you said it. Like society basically collapsed overnight, right? So
Yeah, so
then,
there's a lot of shit just lying
yeah,
around.
and like they're all foraging, they're
Yeah.
all searching through houses and stuff.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of stuff going on.
Have you been to that Angel?
No, I've never been up that way. Well, I mean, I have, but not to the statue. But it's a very famous statue in
Yeah.
Newcastle. Yeah, not as big as you think it is, but it's.
It didn't look that big. I wasn't that impressed.
They're the views of Trevor, not of the podcast. Don't come at me, Geordies.
No, it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, fair enough. It is pretty nice.
All right, well,
Anyway,
anything else?
I feel like we're forgetting something, but I can't think of what it is. But no,
We pretty much handled everything. I'm just worried that baby's not going to get the nutrition that it
yeah,
needs.
and that's what I mean. He was like, "Oh, it needs milk." I'm like,
Well, they're just feeding the baby water. I'm like, you're not supposed to do that.
I'm just saying, like, I've had a couple of kids myself. Newborn babies, they need to be fed.
Yeah, like,
and that baby seemed very happy to just be chilling in that fucking grocery basket and being like, yeah, I'm cool. And it's like all it's had to eat is a bit of water. It's like that baby would be going absolutely apeshit, or if not, be dead by now already.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
That baby was so healthy and so happy. It like that took me out of it a little bit. I'm like, come on now. But it's like, why even have the baby in it?
I guess for this, like, it's just so many strange choices.
It's so random. It's like there was no reason to have that baby in the movie. Really?
It was like when they were at Ray Fiennes' boneyard.
Yeah.
Sometimes they forgot that the baby was there. Like
right?
it was
like, oh yeah, there is a baby here.
They just drugged him up with morphine and said, "Here's a baby." Yeah, it's a terrible idea.
Such bad choice. But someone's got to watch the baby because I have to blow dart your mom and then burn all his flesh off.
I have to go burn your mother now.
I'm gonna go pick the flesh from her skull. So creepy.
All right. Well, why don't
let's just wrap it up. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, we rate things out of 6.5 on this podcast.
Rating.
Pete, I quite enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. How high are you gonna go? Because I'm
gonna say 5.25.
5.25. That's pretty high.
I liked it a lot. Like
I can't.
Like not as much as the first one, obviously. No. But this one wasn't trying to be the first one in a way that I found very refreshing. Like they could have really played it safe, and this is not a safe movie at all.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely appreciate the wild swings this movie takes, but it did not work for me as much as it did for you. I'd probably go somewhere more like 4, to be honest.
4, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's honest.
Yeah.
That's not a bad score
That's
either.
what I mean. I feel like, well, I do feel like if I watched it again, I might be more on your level with the rating, because I feel like it's because of the headspace and my expectations. But at the same time, like I just said, this whole trip home, I've been talking myself into liking it less than when I was out of the theater.
I just really appreciate how he films action sequences, and I really appreciate the horror that he's able to inject and the anxiety I'm feeling as I'm watching it. Like
yes,
I've seen a lot of zombie movies between 28 Days Later and this, and like very few have like made me scared in the way that this one made me scared.
That's a very good point to make, because I had the exact same feeling in this movie where I was like, this has been done a million times before. It's just people hiding from zombies who are trying to kill them. But at the same time, it's like, why is this? Like, he's so good at
He's
making
good.
it. I'm
He's
so stressed right
really
now.
good.
I'm so scared and so stressed when it should just be like, oh, whatever. It's just more zombies. I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just master of his craft, really.
When they're in that fucking house, I was scared the entire time.
Jeez. Yeah, that was and the bit where he falls asleep and the thing's crawling and thinks his shoelace is a worm, and then he's like so close to biting his face. I was like, oh.
And the mom didn't even remember like smashing its
Yeah,
head in.
just like, yeah, it's so crazy.
Anyways, pretty good movie. Pretty fucking weird.
Yeah.
In a way that I dig, and I'm also like befuddled at.
Yes, it's definitely. I'm definitely in a befuddled state. I know I've said it many times, but I need to rewatch this one for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have the weirdest fucking dreams tonight.
I feel like I'm gonna be like creeped out. I'm gonna be like, there's something crawling, or there's something stood in the darkness over there, which says a lot. Like those big fat guys crawling on the floor apparently are like incredibly stealthy because they are able to creep up on people, and
they're so soft.
I mean, like a creepy, soft, blubbery thing crawling across the ground would make a lot of noise, is what I'm saying.
Well, I think it kind of was making a lot of noise. The kid was just like tired.
Even a bit earlier though, when it's like creeping up on Aaron Taylor Johnson, it's like, how do you not hear that guy? He's supposed to be this ranger.
Got a lot of blubber. The fact that it's so slow and so fat and so disgusting makes it more terrifying that it's sneaking up behind you.
True, very true.
He fucking just like tries slurping the shoelaces like it's a worm.
Hilarious.
It's scary.
It's funny though, because I'd actually almost forgotten about the little girl, one of those, who like seemingly was not infected and was just a weird looking blubbery girl, because she was like acting.
She was scared. She was acting like a
regular
kid.
human.
And
then they didn't follow up on that at all.
They gotta be picking. Yeah, well, I kept thinking there was gonna be like a nemesis thing.
Because they actually laid it on a bit thick with like the Aaron Taylor Johnson being like, oh, and then we shot him in the face because we fucking hate those. Like they're like, oh, they're making it out that these are the bad guys and they're killing zombies, being cruel about it.
It is definitely that would just be doing I Am Legend.
Yeah,
again.
that's what I mean. They was maybe that was they purposely did that. It's like, we're going to telegraph it so hard, that's what we're doing, and then we're just going to do a massive rug pull and make it about something else.
When she was like helping the one infected like give birth,
that was so weird.
And then right after that, she tries to like eat them.
Immediately just turns back into infected. That's what I mean. I'm like, I don't understand what's happening.
It's just like it's a rug pull over a rug pull. Like
it really is. It's like that's what I mean. I think I just got too much whiplash from all the weird shifts and.
Well, I'll talk to you tomorrow and see.
Yeah,
if you feel
maybe I just need to
about
sleep on it. I'll wake up tomorrow and go, you know what? I've changed my mind. It's actually amazing.
I might be like, you know what? Some of that was pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, let's wrap it up, man. It's late. I'm falling asleep here.
All right. Yeah. Join us next week. We're gonna be talking F1
and fast cars and Batman and Superboys.
Yeah. Yeah, Batman v Superman, The Dawn of Justice.
Dawn of Justice, yeah. Well, until the Dawn of Justice and Brad Pitt driving fast cars, that's the final word.